Call to order the Tuesday, January 7th Board of Public Works and Utilities. Start off with the roll call. Mayor Kim Smith.
Here.
Alder Dan Stevens.
Present.
Jared Holter.
Here.
Sabrina Steger.
Here.
And then Alder Stephen Knott is myself. I am obviously present. Also, present with us is Alder Wolf. Is there anyone online?
Karen from Finance is online.
Aaron from Finance.
Here.
Okay. All right. Moving on to item number 2, consideration and action on minutes from the previous meeting.
Move to approve.
Second.
Move to approve by Mayor Smith, seconded by Alder Stevens. Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye.
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 Opposed? Motion passes. Item number 3, public input. Anyone wishing to provide public input will be limited to 3 minutes. Please provide your name and your address. First call for public input. Second call for public input. And again, there's nobody on. Third and final call for public input. Public input is closed. Moving on to item number 4, chassis purchase for Public Works Department, tool truck and bucket truck. Or is it going to be you or Kevin covering it?
I'll take this one.
Okay.
In your packet tonight, there are 2 quotes for 2 different chassis purchases. They are very similar. One of them will be painted green as our fleet color for the 1-ton. One of them, the bucket truck, will be white because all the add-on equipment is all white. So we do get a white chassis. These are both budgeted in the equipment budget and the capital improvement budget, 2 different areas, one for each. They came in about where we thought they would. And these are through the state vehicle bid, purchased through Ewald Automotive Group. So staff is recommending the purchase of one at $59,174 and the other cabin chassis at $60,084.
I move we proceed with the purchase of the tool truck and the bucket truck as described.
I'll second. Motion to approve by Mayor Smith, seconded by myself. Any discussion? Mayor?
Under discussion, I just have a question for the record. What was the budgeted amount for the vehicles?
We actually budgeted more. I'd have to look it up.
But this is just the chassis and you.
This is
still have
just,
to
yeah, that's why I was
outfit
like, add clarification. This is just the chassis, the bucket truck. We budgeted 225,000. So we will have another, we have it out for bid right now to come back with the equipment to add on to that. And we are anticipating that we'll be under budget once we are done. And the cabin chassis for the 1-ton was under budget. We actually budgeted 70,000 for that in the budget. So then we'll also be adding equipment to it.
Okay, thank you.
Any other discussion? Yes, Dan?
So at the end of the section, there was a price summary showing of 65,853, I guess. Why, where is that number coming from and why is it different than the 2 that were?
On the very last page before number 5.
Yeah, you're on the second one, right?
On
I think.
page 20, yeah.
Yeah, the second
There's a
one.
destination charge and some other options. I just,
Yeah,
not getting something, or were there some fees that were not?
yeah. So if you go to the 65,000 by 853 and then go back to page 13. And then at the top, you can see the base price, destination charge and total options come to 65,853. Where the customer discount is basically the state bid discount of 66.79, which gets us down to the 59,174.
Okay, thank you.
That
Any other discussion or questions? All those in favor? Aye.
I
Opposed? Motion passes. Item number 5. The 2024 miscellaneous concrete project contractor and project status. Jared?
So this is a little bit different. We haven't had one of these for many years now, but we actually awarded the 2024 miscellaneous concrete project to a firm by the name of BMD Concrete Innovations. Had the contract, they came in and did work middle of the year, and then they proceeded to wait. We had scheduled the other half of the work. And Kevin, as you read the packet tonight, you can see Kevin was in contact with them on multiple times when they're going to come back in. Finally, we got to the point of the contract completion date being the end of October in 2024. And we could see that they were not going to meet that date, and we gave them until that date. But then we, as staff, wanted to finish more of the miscellaneous concrete work that we had in the sidewalk repair zone. So we solicited quotes from 3 local contractors and split the remainder of the work up, trying to get as much done as we could before it freeze up. If you did notice or saw it on the north end of the city, we had contractors working pretty late in the year, so we were trying to get as much done as we could. We had Maderi Concrete, Chippewa Concrete Service, and Fowler and Hammer doing various different portions. Completed about 85% of the project. We'll have about 15% that will be carrying over into the 2025 bid. Once again, there's, you'll see those estimates kind of in the estimate sheet tonight, that there's, those contractors are listed on the estimate sheet for payment tonight, and those are just kind of a anomaly in our system. So we wanted to just have something on the record that we're not going after any of the bonding or anything. We were able to get enough of the work done, and I don't think that it'll be fine with the way it turned out. So
What's the color coding?
I can have Kevin go over it, but basically there's different sections of what we let for different contractors. So different contractors did different colors.
Okay.
I mean, that's basically, yeah. If you go to page 28, it kind of lists green was Chippewa Concrete, purple was Chippewa Concrete, part of the no color was Fowler and Hammer, red was Maderi, and then the part that we didn't get IDs 261 through 319 completed.
I apologize. I missed that completely.
Oh, no.
Thanks. Cool.
And what was like, were we just too ambitious in what we wanted done when, or?
No,
Issues with the vendors?
it's a startup contractor. During the bidders proof process, the ensuring that they could complete the work, we had called a couple different references that they listed and looked at their contract work, and I forget the city's Appleton and Shawano. Kevin talked to both the engineers with those communities and said they did great work and they did everything on time. And so we approved them, which we have with other contractors that are starting up, and they had the bonding capacity and they had showed they had the proper equipment. So we approved them. We think this is conjecture, but we think they overbid what they could produce, because they've only got a few individuals working for them. So then I think they lost a couple individuals and they overbid what they thought they could. So they just couldn't physically get it done. And they kept, as you can see by the email train, they kept thinking they were going to make it back here, but they just never did. So.
Here.
So did the replacement contractors do the work at the same cost?
It ended up costing us more money.
So does that get billed to the one that left us in the lurch?
We could try to, but I think the reality of it is we will probably not approve them for a contract again.
Right, and then,
And when we get called, that'll, it's not a exorbitant difference in cost, but there was a higher cost. But we were able to maintain it within what we had budgeted. So it was, it didn't double in cost, but
Right.
it was, I guess I don't have the exact percentage, but it was higher.
but then there was still work that didn't get completed that was
Correct.
slated, and that will be now pushed out
Correct? That
when
would be
we already
2025.
don't keep up, so that will
Correct.
be bad, but okay. Well, how do you know, right? Thank you.
Yes, go ahead, Diane.
That one? Yes, thank you, Chair. I had a couple constituents on, I believe it's Troy Street, that were very hopeful to have the work completed. And I have talked with Kevin about this a few times, and also Jared, and, and it's very unfortunate that it happened. And, Jared already answered one of my questions, was that I hope that we keep that in mind for next time. And I appreciate, that the city will give startups a chance, and you do your due diligence and confirm, but, and tell me if I'm wrong, but a lot of this work, or a lot of times, staff goes out and marks the sidewalks to be replaced with what, pink dots or some colored dots,
Yeah.
the fall before, for the work to be done the next year. So now that this is going to be delayed, my people on Troy Street, they're really disappointed to see that, okay, so they were marked like last year, that they thought it was to be done in 2024. Now it's not going to be till mid-2025. So it's not like it's just, oh, it's just delayed on constituents' parts for maybe 3 months. Some people have been waiting a really long time. So I'm really disappointed, but I'm very appreciative that staff went to legal and you went ahead and right away you bid out, you got the contractors that you could. So I feel like you did the best that you possibly could with the circumstances that you usually don't have to encounter. But I personally will never support that person to come back again, because I've spent a lot of time with my constituents over this, but bottom line, I think our staff did a really good job to try to make it as good as we could. And that's all you can do sometimes. But thank you for your work, and that my people really appreciate it. Once they were explained, they got it, but still really disappointed, but they know that I'll be talking to both of you April and May and June. So, to make sure that the work gets done. So, but thank you again. Appreciate it. Thank you, Chair.
And yes,
And we only paid the contractor for the work that they finished, correct?
Yeah, what's on the estimate sheet tonight is their retainage.
Okay,
So we did ensure that they've paid their concrete supplier, because that was a question. They have paid their concrete supplier. They have completed all the work that we're paying for. So we're not, but that's part of the reason we keep retainage on projects too, is, so.
good question.
Is there a reason why we would not go after them for the difference that we've had to pay other contractors to complete the work?
We could check with legal on that. I think for the relatively, in the grand scheme of thing, they're smaller. I'm not discounting that hundreds of dollars aren't meaningful amounts, but to try to go back and do that it could be.
Might exceed the cost,
Right.
yeah, of,
So
exceed the benefits.
if it was thousands of dollars, maybe we'd pursue that, but hundreds of dollars, I don't know that it's worth the time.
Good questions. Does this require anything to pass, or is this just information?
No, we kind of went through this information. We went
Yeah,
through the
that's what I thought.
purchasing process to get the
Yeah.
work done that was done by the other contractors, so.
Okay.
It's all budgeted and we'll have
Roger
the
that.
payments, so it should be okay. I think.
Any other concerns or questions then before we move on? Okay, then we're on to item number 6, State Trunk Highway 16 Off-Street Path Project Scope and Professional Engineering Services. This pertains to the information that was awaiting you at your station as well. Jared.
Correct. So we handed out a proposal from MSA Professional Services. They are the engineer that was designing the path for us on along 16 between, I'd say, Dick's Sporting Goods and South Kenny Cooley Road. In the last 3 months since the capital improvement budget went through, we have been in discussions with the Wisconsin DOT, and there's a program called the TAP program, the Transportation Alternatives Program. And what's interesting about that program is there's been states within the United States that are not using their funds, and the DOT has a chance to redistribute funds. So we are in discussions with them. We feel that we have a very good chance because our design is probably 75% complete for what they need. It was enough for what we needed internally, but if we receive the TAP funds, we have to go through more environmental processes. We've got to do more paperwork basically to ensure it meets the federal process. So what we are proposing is to hire MSA Professional Services to do those steps that would get us to the federal approval level. We would still bid it as a local project once it gets to that point, but we could receive 80% funding toward the construction. So we would be requesting approval of MSA not to exceed the $64,827 for the design services. The design services would be billed by the hour of work that they are doing. Their estimate includes enough hours to do a standard transportation alternatives program project. This is going to be accelerated, and we've already got a lot of the design done. So they really feel it's going to be less than this, but they wanted to make sure they had everything in there. So I am confident we are going to be less than what is on the proposal tonight. And we've seen this with this engineer before. We've done other projects similar to this. So that basically we would still be within what we budgeted. We'd use the money budgeted for construction to pay for the engineer and then, you know, I know we're kind of putting our ducks in a row for the grant, but I really feel talking to the DOT personnel that we are in line in a very good position to get the grant. So if we would, in a perfect scenario, they would have redistribution funds in the late fall of 2025. And we would then, because they have to have a shovel-ready project, which ours would be, and then it would get built in 26. So we really are not losing a lot of ground on the construction schedule. It would be a year. We wouldn't have it done this year till the end of 25. So we would be losing a year, but I think this is going to be a good move going forward. And we also, once we got done with the design in the last few months, we realized that we just absolutely cannot maneuver around not buying some right away to get it in. And if we're going to do that, that leads us into more work that we're going to have to pay for. Part of the 64,000 we're going to have to do with that anyway. So, and we'll be coming forward with some negotiation for the right-of-way purchase. That's not included in this price, but we'll be bringing that forward probably next month. To get to that,
Discussion
pretty good,
going.
Kevin? You, anything?
I'll go ahead and make a motion to approve, to move forward with the design at $64,827.
I'll second that.
Discussion. Yes,
And
Mayor.
under discussion, I just want to say a couple general things because I'm on the LAPC board. And a lot of times money comes up, especially from the DOT for this type of funding. And it's difficult for us because our budget is always so tight and it's hard for us to be very forward thinking. But these projects, a lot of times, in order to get this type of funding, they have to be shovel ready. And we have a difficult time putting ourselves in a position where we have these projects ready to go so that we can tap into this funding. So I am excited about this. This is a much needed project that I think we all can acknowledge. This is like the missing link of a huge thing that's been going on for probably 15 years. So I'm excited about the project and to put us in a position where we can actually get this money when I believe it's really likely this is a real thing that could happen. So great. Glad to hear it. But Jared, can you talk again about where the money would be coming from in the budget?
In the 2025 capital improvements budget, we have budgeted construction funds. We direct some of those construction funds to pay for the
Okay.
engineering work.
Thank you.
So I'm understanding there is some risk involved in this, but it's low risk to potential high benefit.
Correct. And I would state that anything we're doing, if we're basically designing a more thorough project, it kind of too. So it's you know, if you looked at the plans out there trying to build that project, it's just so hard with all the power poles out there. There's a variety of things that are in way. It's narrow, the roadway's narrow. There's turn lanes. We're trying to work around as much as we can, trying to get substandard widths. They want a certain width, so we're asking for deviation from standards, which they are allowing in spots. Not an easy project. I will say also that the city of La Crosse and the township of Shelby were working jointly on a sidewalk, and that got funded with last year's funds. If you remember that, the LAPC mayor, that they were shovel ready, just like we're trying to get this to. So they actually received funding for that project.
Well, I know I personally have been opposed to it when it came down to the CIP every year, not because I don't want the project to move forward, but I just thought it was lower priority. But when it comes to the favorite flavor of money, which is OPM, other people's money, I'm all for it.
Yeah, if
So,
it's 80% funded.
yeah, okay.
But yeah, this has come up multiple times where there's been 80% funding available and we don't have a shovel-ready project. So,
Any other discussion or questions?
I was just going to paraphrase what Steve said. You said almost exactly what I was going to say. Almost to that point, Mayor, is maybe we should always have a shovel-ready project kind of waiting in the wings that we don't quite fund,
Mhm.
but have available that.
We have,
It's
we
more of the future.
from engineering design wise and capital improvement projects, we have looked at that. And And we try to always have something in our pocket that we know we can do. But once again, if I didn't know that the
No, it's,
funding was going to come available, it's $65,000. It's not going, it's going to be less than that, I believe, once we're done. But whatever it is, do we really want to have that ready and sitting there when we're spending, it's always a balancing act. And I feel at this time it's tipping toward where we should do it.
and there's different variables for what the type of funding can be also.
Yes, go ahead, Dan.
Thank you again, Chair. So what I haven't heard, I don't think I missed it. So we're looking to spend $64,000 for them to do the work for us to qualify, potentially qualify for an 80-20, right? What is so what are we looking at saving though? Because, so what was budgeted for the path?
So when we did the original work, we had 220,000 budgeted, but the project even, because that was scoped back in July and we've been working on the final design this fall. It's probably going to be a $300,000 project. So 80%, we're hopefully going to spend 60. So it'll be a $240,000 kick in. So even if it costs us 60 for the design and 240 we'd still be 180,000 ahead.
That was my question.
And
Yeah.
and it's having it's work on a state highway. We need to receive the necessary DOT permits to do the work. This helps expedite those permits too by then us just coming in with a local design. So there's ancillary benefits to all this too.
Great, thank you.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
And
This, I guess also the nice piece of this, when it comes up in such a large number, multi-six-figure number, again, it gets bumped down on a lower priority over other needs in a lot of our minds. I mean, we've been voting this a couple of years, we've passed it. But now when you're talking about small chunks at a time, it makes it much more feasible too. You're not getting hit with this massive bill all at one time. So,
And I think another thing is that this is a project that I think we do intend to do
sure.
at some point.
Any other discussion, questions? All right, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Item number 7, pay estimates. And you have a total of 8 items. Oh, no, it goes on to the next page.
16.
I'm sorry, 16 items, yeah.
And I would offer one under number 4 for INS Group. We did receive another monthly invoice that so we'll pay 2 invoices under estimate number 18, but that amount then would be $13,248.75 if you'd be willing to.
Which one is this?
Number 4
Number 4.
for INS Group. The new number would be $13,248.75.
I move that we approve the pay estimates as described under item number 7. There are 16 items listed there.
I'll second.
Motion to pass by Mayor Smith,
And-
seconded by Sabrina Steger. Any
I-
discussion?
I do have a question under
Yes, go
discussion.
ahead.
Jared, could you just kind of give us a rundown for the community center project and also the city hall's solar project, where we're at budget wise and project wise, just a super brief update on that or
I'm
not?
gonna let Kevin Schubert, our city
Like
engineer,
super
give you an
brief,
update
not,
on those 2
not long
projects. 'cause
one,
he
just
is-
a little super brief.
I could, but he's out there every day, so.
You were probably hoping I'd
Super
ask.
brief, we're good.
We're long.
We're good, Mayor.
Good.
Super brief.
We don't need a PowerPoint presentation unless you want to.
No, the community center project is on track, right? From, I think, last month, we brought in a change order, right? Doing good. Our contingency fund for that project is very healthy still at this time as we're starting to round the halfway point in the construction timeframe, so very healthy there. I would anticipate we would probably need some more additional construction administrative assistance from ISG, right? I could see them having another change or just some of the stuff with architectural stuff, getting all the donor stuff, some of our own changes internally, right? Or just a little bit larger pad. I could see a little bit there. Maybe 1 or 2 more things when we get into like landscaping and stuff like that to make sure we get that. But we're going to be very good on the contingency side and the overall budget for the community center. I expect there would be leftover, I'll say, contingency money at the end of the project. We will not use it all right now for what we have currently budgeted. And then the City Hall solar project. paying the last larger portion. We do have still a small bit for retainage, right? They will be assisting us in doing some of the federal paperwork to get some of the rebates coming here. First quarter here, they will put in for our focus on energy rebate for this. So there's sort of the last two items we're withholding. So we'll just have one smaller final pay estimate from them. But while we're talking about that, the City Hall solar was turned on December 23rd, fully commissioned. So it has been in operation for the last 2 weeks here.
Thank
How
you.
about the construction schedule? Is that also still on time?
For the community center, Steve? Yes, yes. Yep.
No perceived delays yet.
No perceived delays that I would anticipate, something probably later in August, September, where we go open to the public, right? Probably construction will probably wrap up roughly late June, late July, early August, right? There is always a couple weeks of punch lists, fixing up a paint chip here or something like that, making sure staff knows how to operate the facility completely right. But we are on schedule for that. No delays at this time.
Thank you.
Okay, well, that moves us on to the utilities portion of the agenda. Item number 8 says there is no report, which brings us to item number 9, adjournment.
Move to adjourn.
Second.
Move to adjourn by Jared, seconded by Sabrina. Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We are adjourned. Time is 4:26.